Guys, it's Carrie, and I have Dale here with me,
Hello.
along with Oliver, the Crafty Pup, and it is time for the Make and Take segment of our launch party of the 2023 September through December mini catalog, also known as our holiday catalog, because it is filled with mainly holiday products to create some gorgeous projects. Okay, so we are actually doing take two of the make and take video. So this first project, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'll explain that to you in just a minute. In your packet, you're going to notice that you have a couple of pieces of candy and also a spider ring. Now, you can do with this what you would like. What we intended for you to do was to use those items in your treat holder, which is going to be your fourth project. So if you eat your candy, then you're going to need to replace that candy for your treat holder. Feel free to wear your spider ring though while you're creating. Let's set those things aside. And the first project we're going to make is using the very cute bundle, and it is a stamp punch bundle. So it is that adorable little polar bear. And there's even a baby polar bear on the stamp, some cute trees. So just a really cute stamp set. And like I said, this is take two of the video. So we're not going to actually create this card with you because we did that on the first try of the video. So we've got a couple options. The first one is if you have this stamp set available to you, then you'll be able to recreate this project like we made it with the little polar bear with this cute little scarf. If not, we have an option for you where you can just really feature the designer series paper. Now you can also add some bling there if you wanted to. Still a super cute little card, but we're just not able to stamp for you. And so feel free to use the little scrap of basic white cardstock to maybe stamp some snowflakes. Pull something from your collection if you happen to have a polar bear stamp or if you have this set. But this is the two different versions. So if you have the stamp set or if you don't. Very straightforward little card. There are a couple things I want to point out to you though, just in helping you put this together. So you've got this piece of designer series paper that's matted with a piece of basic white. Just watch when you are adhering that to the front of your card base to that night of navy layer. Make sure that you get it over enough that this 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 square will mat up on the card and everything looks the way you want it. The other thing we noticed was this piece of balmy blue cardstock that mats the 3 by 3, I cut it wrong. So you're just going to need to bring in your paper trimmer and make that balmy blue piece 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Did it on all of the kits. So at least it was too long instead of too short. Okay, let us know if you have any questions on this one. What we're going to do too is take some pictures so you'll be able to see these projects up close as well. Okay, we're ready for project number 2, and this one we'll be able to make right along with you. You can make it with us. Okay, this card is going to focus on the Magical Meadow stamp set. There's also dies that coordinate with it. And this is a really cool set. I was actually able to present this sweet collection of products to fellow demonstrators in a meeting last week, and I've already fallen in love with this suite. So you have dies that will not only cut out the stamped images, but then you've got some extra foliage pieces as well for your creating. Now we're actually only going to be using one sentiment from this, but I just really wanted you to see how beautiful this stamp set is. And again, this is a super simple little layout. You've seen this layout before, but look at how gorgeous that is with that beautiful paper. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. Be sure that you're careful as you're pulling pieces out of your packet, because as you know, sometimes there's little pieces. There's our sentiment piece. And Dale, do you remember where we got that little circle?
It's the deckled circles.
Deckled circles. So we did not grab those, but I bet Dale would do that for us out of our dies as I fold this Lost Lagoon card base. These are a new set of dies in the mini catalog. And they are awesome, y'all. It is a huge set of dies. Ours are a little bit wonky because we've been using them, but oh, they're so awesome. And so that is where this circle came from that we're stamping our greeting on. We have yet to play with these really big ones and kind of see what we can come up with, but these are awesome, guys, that you're going to see us using quite a lot. We love them. All right, so let's go ahead and put our inside panel in. Just add some liquid glue. I have found that this bottle of liquid glue, oh boy, it is flowing, isn't it?
It's definitely flowing.
When I did that presentation last week, I told them about the trick that Mary taught us, dot, dot, not a lot, so that we don't use too much liquid glue. As my glue gooped out onto my project. But they still understood the concept, so. And they really liked that idea of dot, dot, not a lot. Okay, then we have a piece of vellum that we're actually putting back behind this focal image. So that just kind of changes the tone of this, I think. It really gives you kind of a frosty look. I'm going to turn that the other way though. Kind of gives you a frosty look and breaks up that Lost Lagoon cardstock just a little bit. And then you've got another piece of Lost Lagoon that we're just going to mat this on. So a 3x4 piece of designer series paper. Y'all know, especially when we do launch party, we like to use the 3x4 size because we are cutting so many kits to send out and to use for the in-person launch party. It just really stretches your paper because when you have a 12x12 sheet of designer series paper, you get 12. Am I doing the math right, Dean?
You're doing the math right.
12 pieces that are 3x4, and that's plenty to show how gorgeous that paper is. All right, it looks like a snowstorm. Now, a little trick for you, because one of the issues we have when we attach vellum is making sure that the adhesive doesn't show. So what I'm going to do is attach this piece to the vellum, then I'll know where to put my glue when I put it on the card base. Okay, does that make sense? I think so. Just getting your placement. And with vellum, it will take just a little bit longer for that glue to dry. You'll have to be a little bit more careful, making sure it doesn't scoot around on you. Get that centered up right quick. And of course, I got a little glue on my finger. Dale, you want to take over for a second?
Please. I can keep from messing
If
it
you can
all
keep
up.
from getting glue on your finger as well.
Yeah, I don't need.
I got it off. And I did grab a Lost Lagoon. I think we're going to let that sit there for just a second and let that glue dry just a bit before we add it to the project, okay? We did grab a Lost Lagoon ink pad. And this stamp set is red rubber. And this sentiment says winter wishes. Now you can certainly center up your sentiment on this. I'm going to move mine over just a tiny bit. And I want to do that on purpose so that I have a little room for my embellishment up at the top. How's that look?
Looks fantastic.
Okay. You know what? I've already messed up. I should have put my ribbon around there.
Okay.
So we'll just figure something else out, won't we? It's always nice to have different options. So I think what we're going to do, turn this back over, make sure our trees are going right side up. And let's just maybe put a little swoosh of this ribbon back behind. So this ribbon is silver and white shimmer ribbon, and I'm hoping that the sparkle picks up on the camera. It is just fabulous.
That's sparkling on
It's sparkling.
Yeah.
You can see it. I love that. I'm trying to decide if I should just make a bow or if I should try to kind of swoosh that.
Make a bow. It's
Make a
Christmas.
bow, okay. And this does make really, really pretty bows. So if you didn't get too excited and glue your stuff down too fast like I did, just put your ribbon around. I'll hold that up a little closer in a minute where you can see what we did. Just put it around and adhered it before we put it on the vellum. But this is nice too. Have this little bow. Cut my tails. Y'all know I've cut those tails together, so they're pretty much the same length. Not perfect because it's handmade, but yeah, I think that's gonna look really pretty. And I'm still gonna go for an embellishment. I'm not leaving that off. You want to show them those gems still? They are faceted gems, and they come in Misty Moonlight, Clear, and Lost Lagoon. That pack still have some of each because we've
Yeah.
used a lot of these.
It's got 3 of the Misty Moonlight down at this end,
Mhm.
and then the clear, and then the Lost Lagoon.
They're really pretty. Now they are raised a little bit, so sometimes you need to just add a little piece of cardstock or something to make sure when you put it in the mail. You know, I may even come over here with this. What do you think? I may put this here. May put my bow down here. And then that way I've got room for my gem. We're going to make this one work. We're adding our own spin on it. You want to put one of those Lost Lagoon gems? I was kind of thinking like up in here.
Okay.
I got a roll of blue dots, and to be honest with you, this could be a roll that I've had for a while and just got out, but they're the ones that they're on the back of the paper instead of the front. That kind of always throws me for a loop here, but we're making it work. All right, and then I think we'll just add this little bow right there. I think that still looks really pretty. And Dale, you want to go ahead and adhere that vellum to our card base, and I think we will be done with this project. Dot, dot, not a lot.
I'm gonna try.
I just think the vellum really adds a nice touch. With all the heat that we have had, no, not everybody is that's watching is from Texas, but we've had the heat wave across the country. But we have had so much heat, and it's starting to cool down a little bit. We're getting some rain. So this definitely makes you ready for a cool front, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me move these out of the way and we'll work on project 3. So I'm really excited about project number 3, y'all. This is one of, I think, the cutest stamp and punch bundles in the new catalog. It's called Pick Up the Patch. So you have got pumpkins and gourds, and then you've got a pumpkin builder punch where you can actually add the leaves and everything in the stem to the pumpkins. And I don't think we grabbed a brown Dale to stamp with.
Okay.
I think last time we used pecan pie and early espresso. If you want to grab those ink pads right quick, and I'll show them the project. It is just so stinking cute. Now, again, on this one, we are not allowed to stamp for you. So you've got a piece of back paper here from Them Bones. So Halloween paper. So stop and think about what you have in your collection. I know that you're going to come up with something super cute that you're going to be able to stamp here. You may already have a pumpkin stamp, or you may have some bats and ghosts or a haunted house. So you're going to be able to use your creativity, but it's still a super easy layout that we're using. Now, again, this is a 4x3 piece of designer series paper, just put directly on the card base. And we are going to show you as we stamp how we even came up with a pumpkin to put on the inside of the project. We've got a really cool tip to show you with the punch and the stamps. So let's do that first, Dee. We actually have a template. If I can find it here. Stuck it in between the insert and the case. And we have a template for the pumpkins. Okay. And before I have Dale show you what we came up with that, I want to show you this little splatter stamp. This is a really cool stamp that Dale has already used a couple of times. We used it on the board. And then for those that are participating in After Party, he made your treat this time. And so he added just a little kind of splatter effect. So don't forget to look in your stamp sets for cool little stamps like that that can really add some texture and depth to your project. I love stuff like that for fall projects. I'm going to move that stamp set over, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about how this punch works and why we would want to make a template like this.
Okay. The idea of the template is we're gonna stamp these and punch them at the same time. Put this up on your block. We already punched this out of the punch.
So we're just nestling those stamps down in that template. You'll bring the block to it. Pick both stamps up. So now when we stamp our images, and I'm going to be able to keep this and use it over and over every time I pull this stamp set out. If I need both sizes of pumpkins, it's just so much faster to use the template. Uses less cardstock, and we're just going to get these little pumpkin stamps. So let me bring in my packet with all of our supplies, because we're going to need some of that to do our stamping. You got your stamping ready, Dave?
I'm getting ready to stamp.
So there's a strip of cardstock in there for you that you're going to be doing some stamping. Actually, two strips, a little skinny strip and a bigger strip. These are for leaves and stems. This is for pumpkins, right?
All right.
We'll set everything else aside for right now. Let me get my piercing mat so that we can stamp. And we really have a lot of stamping to do on this project. Lots of stamping. We're going to be stamping on the inside panel if you want to. Actually, I guess what we did though was punched all those pieces out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stamped
Okay.
them and
We don't
punched them.
have to stamp on that piece.
Okay.
You could though. That would be just fine. On camera good? You're stamping what, a couple of pumpkin pie?
Yes.
Is that what that is? Pumpkin pie. Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Okay, let me bring the chamois over. We can clean that off, or I can clean that off, and then we'll punch a couple of pumpkin pie pumpkins.
Put this in and line it up.
Voila, that's awesome. And by using the strip of cardstock too, with builder punches, you're going to end up getting little bits that go flying through the air like that. But having the strips really does help. You don't use quite as much to make quite as much of a mess. Awesome. So we've got our two pumpkin pie pumpkins. We used to know a little girl who called them pumpkins, and that's what always comes to mind. Remember Hannah?
Mm-hmm.
Terry used to babysit her, and she bought her a couple of those little baby pumpkins, and she called that her pumpkin. That girl is grown and got married last year. She's been married almost a year, and she's a teacher now.
All right, one more time.
Sage and cranes. It's fun using these fall colors, isn't it? I'll
Mhm.
take that and clean that stamp.
I'm gonna move this out of the way
Okay,
and
there's some more.
see if we can get things to go flying all over the place.
No, we can.
It's kind of hard to do this when you're looking at an angle, isn't it?
It is. I've been telling them that for years. When you have a camera and ring light and stuff above you, they believe us.
They
Okay.
know we have fun though.
And then, yeah, tie one arm behind your back, stand on your head and stamp. Okay, you ready to stamp some leaves?
Oh, absolutely.
Did we get the garden green ink?
That's garden green.
Okay. So I think we went a little crazy with our
Oh, that's
leaves last time.
no way.
I think I stamped 3 or 4, so yeah,
That's fine.
whatever you want to do. And we used a couple different browns for our stems. You could just stamp those leaves and stems right on the cardstock. That's what I did with the little squiggles. The vines, I guess, would be the correct term.
We'll give ourselves a little bit of room.
Okay. For punching. Don't forget we have stems yet. We have a little trick on how to stamp the stems too, I think. They're kind of at an angle. If I remember right, yes, I'll clean the stamp. Since you're on a roll here. We still have a little scrap of cardstock for stems.
We'll just use,
Have plenty? Okay,
we'll use this.
sorry. Do you want to, you want to just do that first? Punch those out. We still have to stamp the squiggly pieces.
Okay, we,
Kind of, last time what I did was I just kind of put my pumpkins and got my placement, and I didn't want my pumpkins like super, I wanted them to be a little bit wonky, you know, and then I think I popped that guy up. So that's what I did, and then I just moved my pumpkin out of the way and stamped the squiggle. I kind of like the squiggle to go to the side a little bit more.
go this way?
Well, not up and down like I did on that one, I guess. Since you're the stamper this time.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once I've got placement, and there's 2 different bind stamps. It's fun.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's great. Clean that one.
Move the thing out of the way.
What?
And you're gonna have the hard part matching up to it now.
And I'm also having the hard part of trying to get all these stamps on a chamois. We still need to stamp the greeting. And then we'll punch out. We have it?
Yeah.
Okay. And for something like this, while Bill is punching leaves, I'll stamp the greeting. I like to turn it upside down.
Okay.
Pick it up match. Did we leave enough room for green?
I believe so.
But I need to ink that up better. That looks straight from your angle.
There you
Right there. What do we do?
go. No, it's too much.
No,
Looks good though.
it's not too bad. We're gonna go with that. You're the crooked pick of the patch, right? And that was
Some
the
stamp.
pumpkins landing on the floor, y'all. Oliver will make sure that they are okay. Get this out of the way, give us a little bit more room. Work here, we got all of our leaves. So now I think this is the fun part, where we get to kind of figure out what we want where. Which color pumpkins? I want those guys, and then which one do I want on the outside? That one?
You know,
That's good. And then on this card, we put that extra pumpkin down here and the extra leaves that we had, so I think we'll do that again. I thought that turned out really, really cute. Okay, so let's go ahead and adhere some things down. I'm gonna start with this guy over here. And again, I don't want him to be completely straight. Maybe tilt in this way. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gluing these two down, but just a touch of glue around the center of the pumpkin so that I have room to tuck leaves and stems. That, what?
How do you flip over one?
Oh, I don't know. I must have bumped it. Is that good?
That's good.
Okay, and then this guy I put on with a dimensional, of course. That was my glue lid. Golly. Oliver, can you wait? Thank you. Thank you, baby. Put this guy this way. So that way, by not having adhesive all the way up to the edge, we're going to be able to come in and add our leaves, and then we'll do stems last. Oh, I guess I should glue this guy down, huh? So this is just really fun. There's so much you can do with this, I think, to make a cute little pumpkin patch. Okay, you want to add leaves and stuff now?
Sure.
Leaves, and then we'll decide where we want stems. And of course, you could stamp your stems straight on there if you want to. I don't know that we even got the stem stamp out. We'll get it though. And I know over the years there have been lots of pumpkin stamps. Do we need some mini dimensionals for leaves?
That probably wasn't too good.
I think those will work for leaves. Give it a try. Oh yeah. They're perfect to on the leaves, aren't they? Add a little bit more dimension to them. You want two of them like that? Or just one?
Just one.
Okay,
We'll put one on the inside. so
that's
not-
true. So cute.
How's
Okay,
that?
that's great. Let's put one on there. And then we'll have our stems, and while you work on that, I'll work on the card base. So this is actually a starry sky card base. And we're pairing that with the pumpkin pie, Cajun craze, and black. And I just thought that was really cute. Now, where we got that color from was the color palette of the designer series paper called Them Bones. What you need?
I was just wondering, we didn't get the
The stem stamp?
stamp.
No, we didn't. We'll have to get it out. We got the stamp set over there.
Okay.
It is a tiny little stamp, that stem stamp. Say that 3 times. Stem stamp.
No.
Alrighty, so we're adding our inside panel. Just love the way the orange looks with the starry sky. So pretty. And then this piece of designer series paper, just take a look because you don't want your bats flying upside down, although they do that. We went one time to the hill country and we saw some bats come flying out. That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. This is one.
So I'm just bringing this designer series paper over to the left side of the card base. Just trying to get kind of an equal border, top, left side, and bottom. Along in there, okay. With that border on this left side is what's important, because this is gonna be covered up mostly. We'll go ahead and put our pumpkin pie mat on our white card stock. So as usual, when we do classes and events online, we like to have a shared thread. So definitely, since you're getting to put your own spin on some of these projects today, I hope that you will share with us what you do to make this your own. Isn't that cute? Love that. And then we top this up with dimensionals. I know you're surprised. Put that where they can see you. That have little bitty tiny stems going everywhere.
Well, I got, yeah,
Stems and all
all kinds.
kinds of debris.
Yeah. I'm standing where I've always stamped before.
I'm gonna move that dimensional over just a tiny bit. Too close.
That's been my opinion.
So you're just using up the scrap, getting stems.
Yeah.
Losing.
I'm off with this now.
And you could certainly, instead of stamping, you could use uncolored cardstock. Pecan pie is a really good fall color. And of course, there's always our trusty early espresso. I love that brown.
I got a little of each of them off right here.
Okay. You want to go ahead and put this on the card front, and
Sure.
then that way we can just add those stems, and I think we're going to be done. Move back up on the bottom. There you go. Then they can see what we're doing. Just that little bit of designer series paper just adds
Okay.
a little bit more interest to it. I'm gonna put these dimensionals in the trash can back there. We've got everything. Move this out of the way. The only thing we need, you know what we need?
Okay.
A
Oh.
ghost. On this one, and it may not show up on camera, we've got a couple of the glow in the dark bats. So Stampin' Up has some embellishments called glow in the dark bats and ghosts. And so I know they're not going to show up super well on camera because they are pretty light. It's really funny. One night I was outside and Dale had been doing some work in my craft room, and he was trying to get my attention outside because he had turned the light off and they were glowing. There is also some glow in the dark paper. We really haven't done much with. We're gonna have to give that a try. But we're gonna go with a ghost on this card as we do our stems. You already did them? No.
No,
Working on them.
there's your little,
Stems and a ghost.
there's your ghost.
All right. Let me bring that close and maybe it'll show up. Can't really tell. Really cute though.
Now I can't get it to come out.
Okay, let me get the silicone craft sheet. Because this is a great tool for little jobs like this. Just put a little dot, and that way you can take your stem and you can just kind of dip it in the glue, the end of it, slide it right under. Or you could even put it on with your take your pick tool if you want to be fancy. If that makes it less likely to get glue on your finger.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But I really like adding the stems last just to get all your placement of everything else. It's cute, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So this card is a little bit futzy, you know, a little bit to it, but I just think it's so worth it. We all done?
All done.
All right, so there's our two pumpkin cards. Got a couple different options. We get these out of the way and we'll work on our last project. Okay, we're ready for project number 4. And if you still have your candy, this is where you're going to need it. If you don't, you're going to have to run to the store. So we are using a really, really cute stamp set. Now this also comes as a bundle with coordinating dies, and they just are not available right now. So I just have the stamp set, and it is so cute, isn't it?
Very cute.
The images, but also the sentiments. I really love the sentiment. Now, just so that you know, this is also stamp class this month, and we've got some really cute projects, 2 cards and 2 treat holders. We're going to make a treat holder using this stamp set today. So we have made in the past a bagalope, which is an envelope that you turn into a bag. But this one is a little bit different. Let me just show you all the way around. We thought this was really, really cute, and it slips my mind the demonstrator that we watched. Oh my goodness. It'll come to me. Anyway, she made this really cute bagalope, and she actually used the brush, the blending brush,
Okay.
and it colored the envelope. So we're starting out with a medium envelope, basic white medium envelope from Stampin' Up. And you're going to want to first take your pieces out. So you've got just a couple of things. You've got a little tag. Now, where did this one come from?
That's from the
Tailored.
Taylor tag,
Mhm.
yeah.
Tailored tags.
So we cut it down.
Yes. So we've taught you this trick in a tip video recently where you can customize your dies. So they'll cut this out. It had the little tag topper section and the hole, and then he ran it back through again and cut that part off because we just really wanted this to be more like a label. So set that aside. Then you've got your piece of designer series paper that's going to go across the top of your bag, and you've got your awesome skeleton. And so take those out first, because the first thing we're going to do is some cutting and some scoring. So grab your trimmer. And on this part where you have the adhesive, we're going to want to cut that off. So we're going to come to 3/4 of an inch. Ish. And we're just going to slice that off. So that gets rid of that gummy part of the envelope, the adhesive. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is on the other 3 sides, the side and the bottom, you're going to score at 3/4 of an inch. So remember, with our paper trimmer, you have a dark blade and a light blade. Your light blade is for scoring. That dark one is now out of the way so that while I score, it doesn't impede anything. We'll turn it. And we'll score again. And I'm scoring this pretty good as far as the force that I'm using, because we're going through a couple layers. Now you can even turn it over if you wanted to and score again. You could use your scoreboard too. That might be even better to give you a little bit deeper scoring. So now we need our bone folder. No, we don't. Oh, we almost made that mistake. Now we need a little piece of grid paper, something to protect your work surface, like your silicone craft sheet. And you need a blending brush, or you need a sponge dauber, or you need to splatter your envelope. You do whatever you like to help decorate up your envelope. Okay, so again, you're going to have some creative license. And we are using Smoky Slate ink. And you may notice this is still the old style ink pad, and it works just fine. So this part with the flap is the front of your envelope. And you're going to want to come in with your blending brush and start adding some ink to the brush. And then come onto the envelope. Start on the grid paper and then add it onto your envelope, so you don't get like any really dark lines. Can you think of other ways, Bill, to decorate up the envelope? You could stamp on it.
Well, you could,
Emboss it.
I think you could probably use the watercolor technique.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're- And then, any of the ink where you blotch the ink on it.
Mhm. If you like to splatter, this would be really cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We're just adding our ink in. Every one of these creations are going to be a little bit different. You do want to go all the way across the front though, and what we tended to do was get a little bit lighter as we went up onto the envelope, more towards the bottom. But you do see the sides as well. How does that look for the front?
No, it's good.
And we don't have to worry about the flap because it's gonna be covered. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. But yeah, there's so much you could do. Stamping, definitely, but look at that side. You still see that even though it's tucked in, so you definitely want to do it as well. You're gonna work on the back a little bit. And we did not score well, we scored it, but we didn't burnish the score line before adding the ink, because if you do, it will lay down a little bit more ink with that,
Right there.
yeah, with the edge of the score line. So if you make that mistake, which we did on our first one, it's not the end of the world. We do have two different sizes of these blending brushes. This is not a technique I do a lot. It's really fun. So I only own a couple of blending brushes and then I just wash them in between uses, but you can get a blending brush for each of the colors or each of the color families, just however you like to do it. I think that's pretty good. It's a little bit lighter probably than the other envelope, but that's okay. Again, you could definitely add some stamping if you wanted to. I think that we'll go ahead and finish up all of our stamping now.
Okay.
Let me grab my little tag and my Happy Halloween. And that's a photopolymer stamp. And it comes from the pumpkin, the Pick of the Patch stamp set. There's a cute Halloween stamp in Bag of Bones, but it's big. Trying to get my placement there, sorry. I'm upside down. It worked though, didn't it? Okay. I may need that ink pad again. Okay, so on this one, we used the Raven, which again comes from Pick of the Patch and the Branch. Nice and spooky, right? But in the meantime, we got Bag of Bones stamp. So we were thinking that it might be fun to stamp some bones down at the bottom, right? So when you're looking at this, look at your score line, because this is the very front, this is the side, this is the bottom. So right in through here is where I'm going to want to stamp my bones. You want to do it, Dee?
Yeah.
Oh, flip it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Be sure you're on the front with the flap, but come in here inside those score lines. So Dale had some ideas of how he wanted to do a couple little arms kind of sticking out.
Yeah. That's gonna work.
Well, you're gonna do them all over. We're stamping on the fly, y'all. It's kind of random,
Ugh,
but
I don't understand why.
can you get it? We've got our tag though, don't forget.
Okay.
Is that good, or do you want to do another one? Okay. That's funny. Them bones, they're all over the place. All right. I think we've made, let me have that stick so we don't end up with a mess. Let me put it on the chamois, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so now we're up to the fun part, yet another fun part. We're going to grab our bone folder, if we can find it. And we're going to burnish on these score lines now. I think I could have probably added more ink as far as with the blending brush, but it'll be okay. You're gonna go back and forth, breaking those fibers, okay? So do it both ways. Especially this bottom is extra bulky with all those layers in the corners and all. So be sure to get that, because that is part of the key of your bagalope turning out right. Is it not?
Yep. Really good.
And I'm not doing a very good job of it. So get it folded good and be sure to burnish it. That just seems to break those fibers down. It helps you form the bag. I don't know if I just didn't get it scored deep enough, but just keep working with it. Good?
Pretty good.
Okay. So now what we're gonna do is come back up here to the top and open up the bag. And what you want to do is push in on the sides and in on the bottom and take your time. And in the process, you're going to form some triangles at the very ends of the bottom.
Not true.
Yeah, you can use the bone folder. And I will tell you, Dale's a lot better at this than I am, but I'm getting better. So I like to use my bone folder to come in there and really get that point going. That seems to help. I also like to lay this on my table and see how well that works. Use that bone folder to get a nice point there. Work that. And that seems to help that lay down much better. So I'm a lot better at making bagalopes now than I used to be. So use your bone folder. That's what our tools are for, right? That helps get that into that corner. And I just put my hand in the envelope and then work on getting that point. That's a lot better, isn't it, Bill?
That's fantastic.
So now my bottom is nice and flat. I've got these little tabs. My sides are pretty smooth. What I need to do is put a strong adhesive. And we have tried using tear and tape. And for this occasion, it seems that glue dots are the very best thing to use. But I have a little tip for you on that. You're going to need 4 glue dots. Because what I found is when you put a glue dot on either side, so on the bottom of the bag, but also on the little tab, then the glue dot kind of stuck to the other glue dot and kind of all adhered together, or you can put it on your fingernail. Put that one there. But you know, if you find that liquid glue works better for you, that's okay too. This is just what seemed to work for me. Was putting one on the tab, one actually on the bag, tucked underneath there. Then I can come in with my bone folder again.
You'll hold it down.
And tack that down. And it seems to stay better. Once you fill it with treats, that helps too. But now is the time to get those tabs adhered like you want them, while you can still work with it. Okay, let's do that again. Blue dot, there he is. And I need one more. So you could really make a bunch of these. In the past, the ones that we've made, you were able to lay flat and store them. So let's say you wanted to make them up ahead of time. In this one, you can't do that. The way that it's created, you would have to leave them already put together. I'm gonna take a pick tool. And there's another little bit of adhering that we're gonna do that's different on this one. Use my bone folder to get those blue dots together. Now, up here where our flap is, you've got a couple little pieces where you have scored, and we are going to use some tear and tape up there. What that does is helps to bring the top of your bag together. Let me grab some tear and tape. Okay, and some liquid glue would work as well. I just think the tear and tape, I don't have to wait for it to dry. I'm gonna come, I don't know the best way to show this, Dee. So on this side, you've got this little piece as part of the scoring. And that is the flap.
But you're doing it on the inside of the emblem, right?
Let me stop and think about it.
So that it makes the whole flap stick down, right?
You want me to put it here instead? Is that what you're saying? Instead
Yes.
of on the flap?
Yeah.
Okay, so just inside that score line. Little piece right there. And then a little piece on the other side. I'm gonna put my tear and tape. There it is. See, I would have put it on the flat.
That would probably work. Maybe even work better because you can lay it down flat and make sure that you got.
You just don't want to get too far in your bag, do you? I guess that doesn't matter. We'll show you. It almost gussets the top of it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I guess that's what you would call it. So let's use our bone folder again and burnish that down. I hope that that is able to show up where y'all can see where our tear and tape is. And then what happens is when you bring that in and you kind of pinch the top, that's how you're able to fold that over. Okay. I think that makes sense. Don't you?
Yep.
Okay. Now let's use the take your pick tool to get that backing off. Being stubborn. Get this piece over here. I got a little tiny bit too much, so I'm just folding that over. And when I pinch those down, trim that little tiny bit of the adhesive off. If I went a little bit too far, I should have folded that over. I think that's going to cause a problem if I don't have you trim that off. Okay, so now when I pinch that together, that all lays down better. We've got arms everywhere.
You're about to cover.
Yes, we are. Okay, so now we're ready to get our little pieces. And this is a strip of designer series paper that we're going to add to the top here. And you're going to find that it's a little bit too wide, which we did that on purpose, but also possibly a little bit too long.
It is a little bit too long. It should, you're gonna match it up with the top edge up here.
Yes, but it's a little bit too long as well. This one may be almost exact. But if yours is too long, trim the sides. We left the front part the way it was, okay? So a little bit of liquid glue on our flap. Don't go crazy. All right. Wanna line that up, Dave?
Sure.
So those were
Set it down on the table. So
okay. Those were really more scrap pieces that we had, so some of them may be longer than others. Like I said, you may have to trim it. That's okay. I don't think we're gonna have to trim this one.
that looks good.
Pretty much perfect. But you'll see when it's open, you do see just a little line, maybe a quarter of an inch of that designer series paper. So now we have this part of our bag ready. So let's go ahead and grab our treats. We found those cool neon spider rings at Dollar General. And then this candy is really cool. There's Snickers, M&Ms, and Twix, and they have green goo in them. And how normally you have the nougat from the Snickers, it's green. And there's some kind of neon green M&Ms. Ask me how I know.
How you know?
I just know. Okay, so now we're ready to put our little tag together, and we have this super cute little guy, and Dale cut him out of the designer series paper. There's just a bunch of these guys, and you may have gotten a different color skeleton. There's gray, black, and white, and so you may have gotten a different color, but they're all over this paper. So he strategically placed that tailored tag die and cut out a bunch, and we're just going to add it up here with our sentiment. And then I'm going to tie a bow with just a little scrap of ribbon that we have. We're using the black and white gingham ribbon. Oh, I had some scraps somewhere. Okay, I got a bolt. That black and white gingham ribbon, y'all know how much we love it. We'll tie a little bow with that. You can also tie a knot.
You gotta put this on the blue dot. Or
I
dimensional.
think we did a dimensional, and we did it a little bit wonky, kind of figured out what our placement was. There should be dimensionals right there. We kind of figured out our placement of our tag, and then that bow was twisted. And then we added the sentiment on there.
Put the tag down.
I don't think so.
Dimensional.
I think we tossed the tag. No, we did glue the tag down.
Okay.
We slept only a couple of times since we designed all this, y'all.
What if I put a lot of glue on there? Is that okay?
Please don't. You just did the top, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we put that little guy on there, kind of, depending on where you put it, kind of how you put your sentiment line. And then we've got our bow to go up at the top. And I'll grab a glue dot to put that on with. And then we actually close this with a dimensional. You could use a glue dot, you could staple it if you wanted to, but we just use the dimensional. Right about there. And that way they're able to open it. And that is our cute little backalope, y'all. Okay, we hope you enjoyed the make and take portion of the launch party. Just want to bring the projects back in and remind you, we've got a couple options on that first one. And then again, for the second one, we did a little bit different version since I forgot to put my ribbon on, but there's always a fix, right? I did notice when I was looking at this that I forgot to put a little knot of ribbon on the card we made with you guys, but that's totally up to you. You don't have to have it. You could also use some linen thread if you have that. I always like using linen thread on fall projects. And then last but not least, we have our bagalopes. Thought they turned out really cute. Can't decide if I like the bones, the hands, or the raven, but cute, fun little project. We hope you guys enjoyed them. Kind of gives you a little jump start of creating for the holidays. Next up, we will have a pre-recorded video, and it's done by Cheryl Rich. She is presenting a Meet the Sweet of Oh Holy Night, so you definitely want to hop on and see that video. We'll post it about 3 o'clock. And wait a minute, let me make sure I'm telling you right. No. Yes. No, about 3:30. We'll post that about 3:30. Okay, and then that will be followed by a Meet the Sweet of the Very Christmas Sweet collection that I'll do for you. And then we'll wrap up this launch party. So we'll see you back in just a few minutes. Thanks, y'all.